to the Eagle Eye Podcast. The #1 show to bring you all things Club America and English.
Oh, what a strike! Club America!
Your hosts for today are Ivan Pineda, Cristian Rosendo, Alexis Juarez, and everyone's favorite cowboy, Dylan Jimenez. Goal! Now let's hit the field and start the show.
America!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the Eagle Eye Podcast. Welcome to what usually is on a Thursday. Today, Wednesday night, all about Lady Aguilas. We're going to be talking and previewing the big matchup, the Clasico Capitalino, that's going to be happening tomorrow against Pumas. And of course, joining me as always is my co-host. It is Brooklyn's very own AJ. AJ, how are you, my friend?
Doing good. Finished watching not too long ago the United States women's national team game versus Argentina. It was a goal fest, that's all I'll say, but I'm pretty excited to be talking everything Lady Aguilas again.
Well, yeah, I didn't see the game, but I saw most of the highlights on Twitter. All I'm saying is they still look like the team to beat, so it should be interesting. So we'll talk more national team ahead later on in the episode. We'll recap a little bit of what we saw from our ladies. But joining us today, AJ, is the Liga MX Femenil expert. It's a very good friend of ours, someone who's been on the podcast before, and we're very excited to have him back. It is none other than Mr. Eugene Rapinski. Eugene, how are you, my friend?
Doing wonderful. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure as always to talk.
Oh, no, it's always a pleasure to have you. It's always a pleasure to have you come on the show and give us a bit of knowledge, especially now with your expertise with Pumas. It should be an interesting one. We're excited to talk the Clasico Capitalino. Obviously, Pumas coming into this one a little bit better than we are, but we're hopeful that the international break gives us a little bit of a leeway in that respect. But before we jump into this Clasico, I do want to maybe recap a little bit of what happened in the international break. I know we had a couple of players, AJ, that played their part against Costa Rica, not just on Saturday, but on Monday as well. And Eugene, correct me if I'm wrong, but did Pumas have any players that featured or not?
They did. Melanie Vegeta made her international debut yesterday in the second half against Costa Rica.
All right, perfect. Well, gentlemen, you two are the experts at this, and you guys are the ones that keep a close eye on the women's national team in regards to everything that's been going on in and around, especially with this new cycle under a new manager. Just quickly, your quick thoughts on the game on Saturday, because that was the one that was actually aired to the public. I know that you guys had to go deep dive into the dark web for Monday's link. But tell me a little bit more about Monday's matchup. Eugene, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on how you saw the ladies play out the game plan, and just your overall thoughts on that victory.
For the one on Saturday, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I was excited to see that. It's been a long time since we've seen the Mexican national team come together. It's been a long time since we've seen players from Liga MX Femenil, from the United States colleges, and from Europe come in as well, and to see how everybody kind of fit together, how they looked. I kind of likened it to being the first day of school, right? Like everybody was trying to feel each other out and see who the new kids are, and it was exciting. It was fun, and what could be better? Mexico won. So,
no, yeah, definitely, and it was at the Estadio Azteca. And call me a sucker, but I love to see the Estadio Azteca in broad daylight. There's something about it that just gives it a much more majestic feel to it.
No lie, I got chills when I was watching the players standing in the middle of the Estadio Azteca when the national anthem was playing. And I'm not even Mexican. That's amazing. Like, it was just such a powerful moment to see, this is like a new birth of a new era, and having it there at, one of the world's temples of the game is just, indescribable. I'm so happy for the program. I'm so happy for the players. I'm so happy for everybody involved.
No, yeah, definitely. It was one of those moments where you kind of take a step back and you realize, the true meaning behind all of it, and you kind of just it takes your breath away, like you mentioned, Eugene. It's something really, really amazing. Although I would say it would have looked a lot better if all the Cruz Azul propaganda wasn't, slapped everywhere, unfortunately. But
I mean, it maybe if Cruz Azul had a player in there, it would have been something. I mean, I know that they had the game later that night, but
They did. That's the only reason why they had to set up early. I don't know why they couldn't set up afterwards, but you know what? Hey, obviously I'm not the one in charge. But AJ, talk to me a little bit about this game. What are your overall thoughts about the game? How you saw the team play? I know we had a FaceTime call with Dylan in between and around halftime, so I got to hear some of your thoughts there. But I thought you had some really good valid points, so I'd let you just speak your mind in regards to Saturday's game.
It's a really good start for the Mexico women's national team. When I just look at the score, I was like, okay, the Regia teams are still dominating. Rebecca Bernal, Katy Martinez, and Stephanie Mayor, they're scoring. I'm like, okay, seems like nothing out of the ordinary for these women. An interesting fact I did find out, 19 of these players that got called to the Mexico women's national team, all of them are coming from the Liga MX Femenil. The other 6, it's either from Europe, from the United States, in college, which is just bonkers. That's great because the whole point of this entire league in the first place, it's to improve the Mexico women's national team. And look what they did on Saturday. It's great. The first 20 minutes, though, it was a bit scary because, it's been a while since this team played. The last they played was March 11th for that Cyprus Cup. So they got to get some time getting accustomed to. But I feel like once Bernat scored, I feel like the floodgates open for this team at this point, and they took complete dominance in this entire match, really. Costa Rica did have a couple of chances, but it just seems like after that first goal, they looked clueless. They did not know what to do, especially when you bench arguably your best player, Raquel Rodriguez. At that point, it's like, that's kind of my opinion. That's disrespectful. I'm like, okay, whatever happens to this team, they deserve it wholeheartedly. But yeah, no, this team overall, they played really well. We got to see a bunch of players from Liga MX make their debuts for this team. Some familiar faces, some new faces, and on all, they seem to be having the time of their lives, really. And I'm looking at the roster as well. It's very stacked. And it's just amazing to see what Monica Vegeta can do with this team in upcoming matches for the Mexico women's national team. It was a really fun game to watch. It was at the Estadio Azteca. What would have been better, though, if COVID was not a thing. We had all those fans filling those seats out to get to see this women's team play back at their home ground.
No, yeah, you're right. I think that definitely would have been the much better scenario there. But unfortunately, it's the times we live in. But I will say this, though. I was very impressed with this national team. They were very direct in the way they were playing. There was moments in times where you're just like, you just expected a goal. And it was unfortunate whenever they didn't score. But I will say I was very impressed. Like you mentioned, the Regia players again coming and stepping up big and showing that they are still, the players to beat. And it's fun. It's fun all around because you get to take a minute to step away from kind of, your club mentality and you focus on the whole national level. And I will say this, though, if that is the A team, I think we're in very, very good hands. So let's talk a little bit, though, about Monday. I know there was more of a 0-0 match right there. We did get to see some of the players that didn't get minutes on Saturday. They featured in this one. Gentlemen, you guys were the ones in charge of finding the drone that was flying over to make sure that you guys could see this matchup. But tell me, I mean, is there something we can take away from this game on Monday, Eugene?
I think it was less of seeing what the full squad could do, like the first game, and more of just getting some minutes and experience for some of the other players, right? We all kind of know what Katy Martinez can do. We all kind of know what Stephanie Mayor can do, not just for the club level, but at the international stage as well. And I think the second game was more to get a read on what some of the other players could do. What could they bring to the table? What could they do against, an international opponent like Costa Rica, one that is about on the same level as Mexico from the last time, both teams were having regular games and regular tournaments to play. So I think that was pretty much the goal of that. And I think it was good. And I liked what I saw from those players. You could tell they were nervous. You could tell some of them were off their game and missed some easy passes and maybe had some shots that they could have framed better or whatever. But, that's why you play friendlies, Christopher Cuellar, if you're listening, that's why you play friendlies, so you can have these players get some experience, get some minutes when it doesn't count, so that when they go up against the United States or Canada or any of our other regional opponents, they're not nervous on top of having to face the United States or Canada or any of these teams. So I liked it. It wasn't perfect, but it was a good learning experience for all involved.
I think you're right. That's the one thing you have to take away from this is, getting minutes under these ladies' belts. And I think you hit it perfectly. I think this match was more of let's see what they can do on an individual basis rather than on a team collective basis. And so, I would imagine that hopefully the ladies continue to have international friendlies like this, and we get to, weave our way into finding that core group that is going to potentially, lead us into a World Cup, and we'll see how that advances. But promising signs for Mexico. I will say this: promising signs for Mexico at the helm. So yeah, but AJ, talk to me a little bit about our ladies that featured in this one, because we had 3 involved in the match on Saturday, and 1 on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. So the ladies playing for Mexico were Monse Hernandez, Dani Espinosa, and Jocelyn Oregel. I know that we mostly saw Dani and Jocelyn in the first matchup. Just kind of your takeaways from all these players.
It's been a while since they last get called up. Daniela Espinosa still playing the position as a right midfielder. We see some flashes of good from her, but it just seems like on Saturday's game, she was a bit off. Like, just the touches just weren't there. Some of the passes were just not the greatest. But hey, like I mentioned, it's been a long time since the ladies have played. She's been all right at America Femenina. I feel like this is a time where, getting that call up to the national team, that's good. Get some motivations, get a confidence. But I feel like in that one, not the greatest game she had, but she got minutes. Jocelyn Oregel really solid throughout that entire game on Saturday. Really, like I said, after the first 20 minutes that Costa Rica had for their opportunities, they were pretty quiet for the most part. Jocelyn did everything to her ability she can to defend the Costa Rican players, get balls out of the pitch, slides out, whatever she's got to do. Did a good job. And Monse Hernandez, as we usually see what she does best, it's running up that left wing, challenging whoever she needs to take on, do her crosses, and hope that she finds one. Most of her crosses seem to connect, just don't get really finished, which, it happens from time to time. Sometimes you score, sometimes you don't. But all in all, they look pretty solid throughout the 2 games against Costa Rica, so good things to see from them.
Definitely good things overall. And I think we mentioned, though, especially with the thing about Dani, is that, she's been in a bit of a slump ever since that playoff run against Monterrey. And we thought this could be the ignition to spark her back into her best form. But you did mention it. I think we saw some more worrisome signs that the fact that she wasn't 100% there, even in the women's national team, whether it's the position that she was playing, maybe she feels more comfortable in the center of the pitch. We'll have to wait and see, but like we said, we need the best of Dani right now, and we're coming to the point of the season where, look, we have Pumas now, and the opponents are just going to get much more tougher as the year advances. So we need that player to be at 100%, and hopefully this international break did her well. She was able to maybe get herself maybe more situated with her situation, and now she feels like she can come back at 110% for America. Because like I mentioned, we need her. We definitely do need her. But all right, gentlemen, anything else you guys want to add on in regards to the Mexican women's national team before we jump ships here?
I think the only thing is to keep an eye out for, I think there's an international break coming up in April, if I'm not mistaken. So hopefully we'll hear something soon for something being planned for then. I'm hopeful. I don't have any insider information on saying that something will happen, but I'm very hopeful that something will happen.
Which would be good. Because it's nice to have a little week off, I'm kidding. It's not for that reason. But no, it would be nice to see, because I think, could bring an opportunity. We could see much more new faces, and I think that's exactly what we want to see, So, again, very good stuff from the women's Mexican national team, and hopefully we continue to see a lot more great stuff along the way. But all right, gentlemen, let's move on into the next segment. We're here to talk about the game. We're here to preview America versus Pumas, the Clasico Capitalino. Before we do so, I want to remind everyone that today's episode is brought to you guys by Foot Cult. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure you guys go check Foot Cult out at footcult.com. Follow them on Twitter, follow them on Instagram, and make sure you guys use the discount code EEP at checkout to get 10% off. Again, that is discount code EEP at checkout to get 10% off all Foot Cult products. Again, thank you to our sponsors, Foot Cult, for today's episode. All right, gentlemen, the big match is coming up tomorrow, Thursday, 1:45 p.m. Pacific time, 3:45 Central, and then 4:45 Eastern Standard Time. So, kind of an odd kickoff time, especially since we're playing at the Cancha Centenario. It's always odd that we start off at 45 and not actually on a specific even
5.
time. Yeah, 5 would have been more reasonable. I don't know why they need to be 15 minutes earlier. Maybe it's because of they're playing right next to the Eagle, and the Eagle is very much no, I need my 15 minutes afterwards. But look, it's obviously painted as one of the matches to watch for this jornada, and rightfully so, right? It's the Clasico Capitalino. We've seen some previous iterations where maybe sometimes they haven't been the best of games, but they've always had a spark to them. And I will say this: America is in dire need of maybe getting that little espinita out of them from last season's match when we were so close to getting something out of this game. But unfortunately, it took an amazing goal from Pumas to level it up. But it was a little bit of a defensive mistake because it could have been a lot better marking. Obviously, I think this matchup is going to be completely different to what we saw last season in Seoul. I think this is a whole different America side, and unfortunately, AJ, it's not in a better terms, right? We've been struggling at home even, and it's going to be interesting to see how Leo Cuellar is going to try to maybe line himself up against a very good Puma side. Let's face it, they've had a very good run, and they've had a very good season up to this date. They have some very good players. I think they've reinforced themselves very well, and we'll talk about a specific player that we think we definitely need to be on the lookout. But your thoughts in general as to how Leo Cuellar will plant his team in regards to this game tomorrow?
So for starting lineups, while I got things going, I'm gonna have Natalia Cunha as our starting goalkeeper. Back fours will consist of Jimena Rios, Jocelyn Orejel, Janely Farias, and Monica Rodriguez. Our midfielders gonna be consistent of Montse Hernandez, Jennifer Munoz, Eva Gonzalez, Diana Garcia. And our two forwards up front is gonna be Daniela Flores and Daniela Espinosa.
So the two Dannies up top, I think that's a very good, promising starting 11. Eugene, how do you see Pumas coming into this one? They obviously know that they have, the momentum going for them. They have the ability to kind of, make more of an upset in Coapa than they already did last time. So how do you think Pumas is coming into this one?
Well, Pumas has been very reliant on their defense. So I think, they're not going to change much. I mean, they are super leader right now. I wouldn't expect any big, overhauls, any big surprises as far as lineups go. The defense is really what has set them apart this season. They've allowed 1 goal in 7 games, 1 goal. So, that's been the key really to their success. They were always defensive minded in the past, but this year it's clicking, which is giving their offense more time to set up and get something going, because they have that confidence knowing that they're not going to let in a dumb goal, that they're going to have the ability to either get a 0-0 draw or score.
And I think that's important, and I think we've manifested on this podcast many times that, defense wins you championships, and I think Pumas has definitely kind of, inserted that. Although, unfortunately, AJ, we do not seem to have a very good defense or a very good offense in this one, but I think things can change, and I think we mentioned that last week against Querétaro. It had to be a pivotal point in the season to then start looking kind of into the future with a much more brighter perspective as to if we didn't walk away with the 3 points, things maybe still would have been a little bit worrisome after the international break. How do you think America will do in regards to, tactically speaking, try to break down Puma's defensive wall that has been just a complete unit this season? You just mentioned 1 goal in the last 7 games just allowed is phenomenal. I mean, it's mind-blowing to be honest. And that they're going to set themselves up pretty well. We have players that are capable of breaking that defense, but will they show up on the day is the question.
Yeah, no, and the interesting fact to that one goal conceded, that was because they didn't have their best goalie. That was Miriam Aguirre playing in that. So who we're going to be playing is Melanie Vegeta, who in those other 6 games, she's not conceded a single goal at all. And consider that she's going to be the one in command to tell her defense what exactly need to do. That's the scary thing. But I feel what America's going to need to do, the wingers need to be on point in this game. Montse Hernandez, we know how she is. This is the time where if you want to see a lot of crosses happen, that's the case. Because I feel like Daniela Flores and Daniela Espinosa, they're definitely capable of getting into their hair and heading on the ball right in. And I feel like especially with their aggression on the pitch, you've seen Daniela Flores at times, she likes to get a bit scrappy. If she needs to do that against the defenders, and so be it. Maybe a tug or maybe a little elbow, as long as she doesn't get the foul, obviously. Same goes with Daniela Espinosa. It's a thing she needs to use her pace. Try to find that open space right for her to get a through ball across, whatever this case may be, because she wants to separate herself from the defenders, because these defenders know well what Daniela Espinosa is capable of and how deadly she could be if she's left all by herself. So she's going to need to get herself away, isolate herself from the defenders. If she's able to do that and get on one-on-one with Melanie Vegeta, I can then say she has a chance of scoring a goal. The same with Diana Garcia, she's shown a lot of promise. She is looking to be the one that's fine to be our right winger that we've been desperately looking for since the very start of the Liga MX Femenil. We've always figured and constantly experimented who our right wingers would be, and Diana Garcia is one of them. She's got the experience playing in college over there in Mexico, and she shows signs of promise. It feels she's like another Monte pretty much, just able to take on defenders and cross the ball. So in this game, really, it's the wingers and forwards that got to do everything to the best of their ability to break this Pumas defense and finally allow Pumas to concede their second goal, or who knows, maybe 3 or 4 goals this season. But I think that's a lot for me to say. So if it's one goal,
you're getting ahead of yourself.
I will take it happily. If it's one goal, I'm fine with that.
Look, I think you're right, though. I think you make a very good point that, this America side needs to be as clinical as they can be with the chances presented to them. I will say this, though. I think this game might just come down to that midfield. I'm looking at Eva and I'm looking at Jen. These are 2 players that have a rocket of a shot and that know how to place the ball in the back of the net from 30 yards out. And I think that's going to be crucial, because if you can't break this defense down on those one-on-ones and you can't really get those chances inside the box, then I think you're just left to kind of resorting to those, worldy shots outside the box. And these are 2 players that are very much capable of doing so. So I'm excited to see if whether or not they're going to step up to the plate and maybe score a goal from a long range distance, which is not going to be an easy thing to do, because the goalkeeper is definitely on fire. And so we'll see what happens. But Eugene, what do you think Pumas has to their advantage in this game? What do you think? Besides momentum, of course.
Well, yeah, I mean, they have momentum. They've got Melanie Vegeta, like AJ, mentioned. She's been lights out this season. 6 games, 0 goals conceded. She had her 60th league appearance last time out, and she's 19. She's just, somebody who has gotten better season over season over season, and really sometimes game over game you can see just getting that much better. So she's going to be a key player coming back full of confidence. But I think another thing you have to worry about with Pumas is they score by committee, right? So they're not like they don't have an Alison Gonzalez, they don't have a Katy Martinez. That one person you have to kind of look out for and say, okay, that's who's going to beat us. We need to shut them down. They have I think 5 or 6 players who have 2 goals, and that's like their leading scorers so far this season. How do you stop that? How do you stop 5 or 6 different players who could score, right? That's going to be a huge challenge for America, not only to try and break down the Pumas defense, but to figure out where the goals are going to come from, where the goals are going to try and come from Pumas. I think that's something that the Pumas has exploited and will continue to exploit, just keeping their opponents off of balance and not knowing where, who's going to be getting the ball, who is going to be expected to kind of put the ball in the net at the end of the day.
No, I agree with you, and I think Leo Cuellar might just pull off a Diego Simone, and we might see 6 defenders. You
Well, something I was also kind of thinking about too was I think this game is really going to be decided by set pieces. I think if America's going to score, it's going to be off of a set piece, or like AJ said, some 30-yard blast from Jen Munoz or something like that. And I think for Pumas, I think they're going to try and get a set piece early, and if they score early, I mean this with all the respect in the world, you guys are done. I mean, it's
Park the bus. It's gonna be
exactly. I mean, they've been so good at not conceding goals. I mean, that's how they won their last game. They got a goal in the 5th minute and said, okay, well, time to pack up.
Here.
That's it. The job is done. Just sit back and relax pretty much the entire match.
And you know what? It's maybe not so fun for us at home watching, but for Pumas fans, we certainly like what it looks like when the referee blows the final whistle. So whatever works.
No, yeah, I agree with you. It'll be an interesting game nonetheless. I think you're right though. Set pieces will be crucial, and AJ, I think if we do get a set piece, I think you've definitely have given this person very much praises for her set pieces. It's Farias. I think she can put in a pass, and I think if we can get maybe Jocelyn at the end of that, or maybe one of the Danis, it could be something promising. So obviously, a lot of avenues to explore in this game. It's not to say that it's only one way, and that's the only way that they're going to win. I think there's very much variables that can come into play in tomorrow's matchup. But I will say this though. I am excited to see, and hopefully I will be able to see because I'm working, so I'm gonna have to sneak in my broadcast somehow. But I am curious to see how America plays this game, because regardless of everything that's been going on in and around that squad and the form that they've been, and the ups and the downs in the play, I think this game has a certain different tone than any other game so far, because it's a Clasico, because it means so much, because of the rivalry between the institutions. And I think the majority of some of these ladies were part of that team that ended up getting just a draw away in over there in Seoul. So I think that deep down inside, I would feel, have kind of this urgency to go out there and play to the fullest and go out there, grab the 3 points, and just really win it for themselves and for the confidence that it could do for them. So I think it'd be interesting to see how they come out. I don't know, what do you think, AJ?
Like everything that you've listed above, it's a Clasico. It's a tough opponent, and when the going gets tough, it gets tougher, because the next upcoming games for America Femenil, it's not going to be easy. When I look into the schedule, I'm thinking we should be fine. We should be picking up 3 points left and right. I then look at the table. All the teams that were not doing so hot last season, they're up there. And I'm like, excuse me, how? Okay, that kind of gives me worries, goosebumps and all that. So I'm like, okay, this is a time where if we could defeat Pumas, we're gaining more confidence. We're building more of it up. We continue that momentum going. We defeated a tough opponent in Querétaro, which is good. Now I want to do this against Pumas next. Remember, the last time we played, we were leading, and then a silly defensive mistake cost us that entire match. And the image I have stuck in my head was Cas Cuevas yelling at Zulma Hernandez saying, how did you not, why did you go up front? It's like, at this point, she's like, I'm going to shove you to stop the ball if you don't do that. But no, this game, it's going to be fun. It's a Clasico, and I love Clásicos every time. You can never go wrong with a Clasico in the Liga MX Femenil. It's so fun, especially how intense that these players get, and they will get into a little scrap if the moment is given at that point, and it's happened. We won't have a certain player that usually likes to start fights like that, like Marlene Campa, because she's in Pumas now. So...
Well, I'm glad you bring her up. Let's talk about the elephant in the room here. Eugene, they say that obviously the law of the X is that most likely Marlene Campa is set to score against us. Give me your intake on her and what she's brought into Puma so far this season, because, she's one of those, few people that have gotten a goal here and there, and maybe is an avenue for Pumas to get a goal tomorrow as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. She is, again, one of the players that I mentioned that co-leads the team with 2 goals. She hasn't really played much, though. She's only gotten 125 minutes out of 5 appearances. But I think she could be an X factor for this game. What better motivation to impress your coach than going out and hanging a couple on the team that let you go in the off season, right? So maybe that's something that Ileana Davila can use to her advantage and to the advantage of Pumas. Have we seen anything so far that says that she's going to come out and light everything on fire? I not necessarily, but again, it's a Clasico. We've been sitting here talking about how good the defense is, and watch it be a 5-4 game or something. I mean, it's a Clasico. These things happen,
No, I completely agree with you, Eugene. It's up in the air, and I think we've mentioned it before. It's just like you have to throw a little bit of everything out the window when it comes to these type of games, because form, all that stuff doesn't matter. It's really just heart and passion, and who just wants it the more at the end of the day. And we'll have to wait and see. But Eugene brings up a good point. AJ, I think Marlene Campo is going to come out with a bit of fire. She obviously wasn't the happiest of persons when Cuellar let her go in the off season. So we know that she has a little bit of vengeance in her, and so we can expect Marlene Campo to come out guns blazing. And she knows this team very well. She knows these players very well. And I would imagine she knows how to get under their skin as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what she's capable of doing tomorrow.
Yeah, no, because here's the thing, and it still annoys to this day. So many people were trashing Campa for playing bad. I'm like, pop quiz, what position did she play when she first started out at Mega? They say midfielder. I'm like, no, you're wrong. She plays a forward. She played 7 games and had 5 goals. Clearly, she was good in that position. But then Cuellar is like, what if I put you in midfield and you just don't do nothing? I'm going to do that. And look how the stats look. She was not happy. I mean, she could play midfielder from what it looked like, but I just feel like she's clearly not happy. And look at that. And 125 minutes, and she's got 2 goals. And I'm like, she's almost, I think, half the goals she scored last season. And that's ridiculous. And less time played. So at this point, I'm actually worried because the Ley de X rule, it's going to happen. As soon as she steps on that pitch, I'm like, images that precede unfortunate events. Context, she ends up scoring against her former team. And I'm like, okay.
Well, Eugene's loving all of this because it just means an early goal for Pumas, and it just means we have a mountain to climb over.
And we don't know who's gonna score because this team has so many players. It's not like Eugene mentioned. It's not like a thing where it's like get the ball to Allison, she'll do everything. Or get the ball to Gatti. It's literally any one of these players could show up at any single point in the game and score, and they will sit back and they're not gonna move at all, and they will frustrate you to no end. Unless they get on the counterattack. So that's something else I have to watch out for. I just think of Marlene Campa, who cannot frustrate me anymore. There's ex-America Femenil players too. There's Edna Santa Maria, who she's having the time of her life in Pumas right now because now she finally has a team that can help her out on the offense and defense. Marlene Diaz, you know what happens if she gets a free kick. Think of her as the M.I.E. Aguilera back when he was consistent. If she gets a free kick, it's it's going in. You can't stop her. If it's a penalty, that's it. You're not stopping it. And this is gonna be a fun game. At the same time, I'm kind of worried just because of how many players that Pumas have that could just score at any given moment in time.
The one thing I am worried more about, and it's obviously Pumas has some very good players that are going to be at their disposal, but if we take a trip back to that last game. Mm-hmm. Macerelli was the reason we were in it for as long as we were. Let's be honest.
About it. No doubt about it.
And look, it's no discredit to Acuna. I think she's had maybe a decent season so far. I don't think she's had the best of season. There's still moments in time where I think she's a little nervous. She's still growing. She's still adapting to this. And so I think that this is a big ask for her. But these are the games that these are the moments where you grow as a player. Either step up to the plate or you don't. And so I'm hopeful that Acuna, because it all fingers point that Acuna will be the starting goalkeeper tomorrow, that she's going to come out and she's going to say, all right, I'm going to go toe-to-toe with you, you, and you. Like, I'm going to be this defensive wall that you guys cannot get past me. And look, as a goalkeeper myself, I know the most important thing is getting that first save down. Once you get that first save, then all those nerves kind of settle in, and then you're just going about it and trying to go and play your game. So it will be interesting to see. I'm not saying that it's going to be a goalkeeper battle. I obviously must have the better upper hand in this one, but it's not to say that Natalia Cunha can't do a very good job and keep us into this one. And we mentioned defense on their end. It looks rock solid. Ours hasn't really, but you're looking at players like Farias and Jocelyn Orejel to really command that center and be like our own little version of a wall, you know? It's going to be interesting to see who plays out on the fullback positions, but I think it's a safe bet to know that Jocelyn and Janely Farias will definitely be the players to kind of, you know, command the center. And we'll have to wait and see. We'll definitely have to wait and see. But it promises to be a very good game. Eugene said 5-4. We'll see if it comes to fruition.
I wish. But depends who's winning. Who's winning is the question.
I don't want 5-4 no matter who's winning.
Yeah.
Make it like that Aguilas and FC Juarez game. Because that game was crazy.
We'll all just be mainlining Tums, man. No.
Yeah, no. No, but it overall, I think it's going to be a fun atmosphere. And you know, both teams are definitely going to bring it. I mean, we can't oversell. We have to tell you guys the truth. It's a Clasico, and they go one or two ways: the 5-4s, or sometimes the scrappy 1-0s. But either way, we promise you guys that there will be moments in this match where you're just gonna be like, "Oh my gosh!" And so those are the moments we live for, and we'll have to wait and see. But Eugene, for you, who is the player that needs to stand out for Pumas in order to get the 3 points tomorrow?
Who? The standout player for me to get the 3 points, man, I guess I have to go with Melanie Vegeta. I mean, she's really been the rock back there and really has papered over some of the few mistakes that the defense has made. And I think she just gives them such a confidence having her back there. I mean, you know, you guys know when you have a goalkeeper like her, you know, like Mascherelli too, back there, you just have that mentality that you know you're going to be fine. You don't have to worry about you know, a dumb goal getting through or something like that. And I think that that's going to really give Pumas an edge, at least at first, in, you know, the kind of mental aspect of the game.
Okay, interesting. I like it. I always like it when the player to watch is the goalkeeper. It's always fun. AJ, who is your player to look out for in America in order for us to get all 3 points?
I'm going to go with Daniela Flores, Blue. She's been having a good season, I'd say, in my opinion, so far, from the looks of her, from the games that she starts or whenever she goes off as a substitute. She looks really solid. It feels like she's probably that true number 9 that America has been looking for. Yes, we have Denise Minasso, but it's one of those things like she's not really a true number 9. I just feels like she's there. If the ball is given to her, she'll finish the job off. But if needed, she needs to assist a teammate or to create a play by herself and then pass the ball on to another teammate. She can go out and do it. I feel like Daniela Flores, with the opportunity she's been given, she takes those opportunities that she can get. Smart shot selections, the aggression that I like in a forward, is what you like to see. Even for someone just at her height, she just shows that she's got that aggression you want in a forward. She just shrugs defenders off. If she needs to get the ball away from a defender, she will gladly do so in any possible way you can think of that is allowed in the rule of football, that does not get her a red card or ejected, anything like that. But just no, I feel like this is the time where if she can get herself another goal this season, I feel like things are gonna start going to her. I feel like the floodgates are gonna open right for her. She will start scoring goals alongside with Daniela Espinosa. And she has someone that knows how to score goals, and she could teach her everything that there is to do so.
Definitely. I think the one advantage she has is that blue hair of hers. Like it's so like like, because look, as a defender, you're trained to, like, keep a mark out, but it's so easy. Like, you can just spot that blue hair as a defender, but then she could be smart about it and be like, I'm gonna make a run and maybe clear an avenue, and they'll just chase her because of the blue hair. And so I think that is something that she uses to her advantage. But no, yeah, definitely someone to look out for, and hopefully someone that will be running the headlines tomorrow will be Danny Flo. I'll have to wait and see. For me, though, I'm going with Eva Gonzalez. I think she is going to be detrimental tomorrow. Not only what she brings to the defense, but also in the offense. We've seen her this season already save our bacon more than just once with those long range shots. And so, I'm interested to see what she's capable of doing. I think a lot of the responsibility of that midfield, falls down on her, and she's really grown into that. And so I think she's taking that responsibility and she's owning it. And it'll be interesting to see whether or not she's capable of, scoring not just a goal, but also maybe providing an assist, maybe starting up the play, plugging up those, gaps in the defense from time to time. So it'll be interesting. And all we can say is just make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. It's going to be a fun one. Definitely. But don't think that you're going to be able to watch it on TV, because unfortunately you won't. But it doesn't mean you have to scour the deep dark web for a link, because it doesn't mean either. This match will be broadcasted via YouTube and Facebook from Club America Family's official account. So all Pumas fans can jump over there as well and, watch that game easily, not having to worry about,
connection, please.
Oh, yes.
Not be like what happened last time against Leon. Please, no. That they end up taking, like, the first half was just laggy. It was bad. But then in the second half, it took them a good maybe 20 minutes to like, oh, shoot, we didn't put the second half up. Okay, and then they took it right down like 7 minutes later because they couldn't get things going. I'm like, oh my God. I woke up on a Sunday for that.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, AJ. Please, oh my God, please, if anyone from the club is listening right now, please do not have the same broadcast people. Do not have the same. Who's even commentating? Like,
it was some guy, but I feel like he was so stressed out because of the responsibility he held on having to maybe memorize all the players' names and all that stuff. You got to commentate play by play, because I think the other person that was there was just a woman, but she was just only calling out the substitute. So please just get 2 more people there to accompany the man so he's not so stressed out, and just make sure everything's connected to the Wi-Fi. Like, make sure the router's there. There's no electronics right in front of it. Please, I beg.
Don't start it in the 25th minute like the second Mexico game, please.
That was
that
riot.
Was brutal.
That was a wonderful time. Everyone was just throwing out memes left and right. And the lineup, because 5 minutes before the game was about to start, they threw in the lineup. So I was like, okay. And then they have Aguilas. He was like, there will be a stream. It was like 1 hour before. Hey, there was a stream. I'm happy. But then we have to wait 25 minutes because they were saying technical difficulties. I'm like, please don't play on my feelings. Please don't.
God.
And when they came live, it went straight to the hydration break. Like,
perfect time. Break. Take a break. Good.
Well, I think America Families knows exactly what not to do. And I think we reiterated this last time when we were recapping that Leon match. Definitely do not make those same mistakes. And look, if anyone knows about technical difficulties, it's us here on the Eagle Eye Podcast. But learn from your mistakes. And look, we said it, AJ. If they need 2 people to just go and commentate tomorrow's game, I'm more than happy to call off sick. So, I'm ready. I'm more than be happy to do play-by-play. So, America, if you're looking for someone, let us know. But hopefully, fingers crossed that this stream is going to be maybe the Tudene one that they're just going to be, copying and pasting over onto the stream for Facebook and YouTube. But now that you mentioned that, AJ, maybe not. So now I'm a little bit more worried.
Besides the Liga MX Femenil, the community themselves, they do not want to hear this one man's certain voice, because if a certain player with the last name Gutierrez, that is an outfield player, I have to hear that chant, and it's going to be pain, because I don't want to hear that.
We've gotten, what is it, like 3 years of that Hana chant already?
Something like that, because I'm going to admit, I was never able to watch a lot of America Femenil games because this is at the time I was in high school pretty much, or in college where I had those midday classes and these games happened during midday. So if that's the case, I feel sorry for everyone who had to go on through the end and hear that chant so many times.
We'll see what happens tomorrow. But make sure you guys tune in. Like I mentioned, 1:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That is also going to be 3:45 p.m. Central Standard Time, excuse me. And then, of course, 4:45 Eastern Standard Time. It's so much more difficult when there's like a 45 thrown in there, right? It's like, it's just it makes the math just that much more complicated. But if you guys can't, make sure you guys tune in over on Twitter. We'll be live tweeting this throughout the whole way. Age is going to have you guys covered. Hopefully, has a couple of gifts thrown our way. Always a fun one. And Eugene, where can they follow you at Twitter? Because we know you're going to be definitely tweeting about this one as well.
Follow me at Golazo del Gringo. I will do my best to tweet out and not be too annoying to your lovely America fans.
Well, we'll take that. Definitely. Look, it's been fun. It's been great. Gentlemen, anything else to add on? Well, actually, yes. I need to get you guys a scoreline prediction for tomorrow. So before I ask, anything else you guys want to add on?
We're going with scoreline predictions right now, or any extra?
Just any extra, and then I'll ask for you guys a scoreline prediction.
Marlene Campa, if you score against us, you have every right to celebrate in front of Leonardo Cuellar. You have every right to do so. Just let him know.
Well, will she do the thing
What
where
always me?
Look like Cuauhtemoc Blanco, like he like posed for La Volpe back in the late 90s? Will she do something similar like that? I'd be fine with it.
She'll be like Luis Suarez when he like scored. I think it was against Everton. I think it was that he celebrated right in front of them. I feel like that's what Marlene might just do, and I'm like, oh no, she's ready.
She definitely is ready. But all right, gentlemen, give me your scoreline prediction. Eugene, what are you going for tomorrow?
I'm gonna be bold. I'm gonna say something you're not gonna like. It's gonna be 1-0 to Pumas. I think.
You said bold. I was like, I'm thinking like a 4-0 or something.
I feel like coming on a Club America podcast and predicting them to lose is that's bold in and of itself.
I mean, they still keep the clean sheet.
Like
Pumas keep that in there. That's also bold because that means we could not score against them. So. I give it
very much. All right. Okay. I like it. All right. Eugene's going for that 1-0 Pumas. AJ, what is your prediction?
I got 2-1 America Femenil. We're gonna make Vegeta concede 2 goals. It's gonna happen.
All right. Okay. I like it. That's even more bold than Eugene. I'm going with a 1-1 draw. I'm going stalemate here. I think it's gonna be a repeat of last season. Not in the same way that game played out, but in the scoreline.
No. Please no.
Who can't take a heartbreak like that? But look, I think we'll go. I think we'll concede first, but I think we'll prevail and we'll get that goal back. And then I think after that, both teams will kind of be like, okay, I think we did our parts here, and we'll just kind of call it a day. So we'll see what happens. But again, tomorrow's game should be a very interesting one. Should be a fun one. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up America versus Pumas preview. Eugene, I do want to ask you one quick question because I'm curious to see the perspective of someone that isn't an America fan and maybe is seeing what the club is going on from in afar. What are your opinions on this whole Leo Cuellar out kind of hashtag going on in and around? Do you think that we're seeing maybe the ends of Cuellar's reign at America and maybe in women's soccer?
I mean, coaches have a limited shelf life. It doesn't matter how good they are. I mean, I guess it matters how bad they are, but it doesn't really matter how good a coach is. They always seem to exit. I think Cuellar is probably on his way out. I don't know if it's going to be anything sudden, especially if they can't kind of turn the ship around, right? Like I look at America's roster and I go, why are they losing? Why are they not doing so well? And maybe you guys can help me with this. Is it the players aren't gelling together? Is it like we have like a mismatch between, what Jocelyn Orhel and Janelle Farias bring to the table? I mean, are they like both too similar to work? Is it injuries? What from an outside perspective, I look at the roster and I go, why aren't they winning? Why aren't they doing better? And I'm sure you and your your followers and America fans are probably wondering the same thing. But I just again I just can't figure it out. Why aren't they winning? Why aren't they doing better?
And you know what? We've been asking that question for the entirety of the season as well. And we think that some of this stuff has been carried over from seasons prior with Cuellar. And it is a mixture of everything that you just said. I think it's the fact that, some of these players aren't gelling together. We let go a bunch of people from last season and then brought a whole bunch of new people in this season.
And maybe that has something to do with it too. Maybe if you have that much churn, you don't have somebody who's been around long enough who knows what Cuellar is expecting from them to kind of help guide the other players, right? I mean,
yeah.
I think it's the thing as well. It's the relationship with some of his players, because the entire Lucero Cuestas Mario Verduga situation that happened. Suppose they were trying to say some happened to them, but then a lot of people were speculating. I think Cuellar just does not like them. What was it? Alondra Gonzalez, who went to Exatlon for she even mentioned like she would like to return this league, but if it's America and since Cuellar there, she's like, yeah, no, I'm not going back there, because she essentially expressed that Cuellar pretty much criticized her a lot and doubted her abilities as a footballer. And then when you think about players we have let go, you're like, wait, why? You players like Marlene Campa, Janae Gonzalez, Destiny Duron, Estefania Fuentes, even some players who didn't play as much, but they provided good depth to the squad. And you're like, why are we tossing them all out? Look, like Marcela Valera and Wendy Moraz, we sent it to Santos Feminine. We're like, wait, why? They're good. Marcela Valera is good. Wendy Moraz, she's good back to the left back in case Jimena Reyes gets injured. Same with Alexia Villanueva, it's the same thing. It's like, why? But I don't know. I just feel like I think it's just it could be something with the sporting director as well. Like with Clara Carrion, I don't know like what she's doing up there. I don't know what's truly going on in Coapa. It's just the thing. It's like some of these transfers or changes, it just doesn't seem to make any kind of sense for this team in the direction they're trying to go. We're trying to win titles, but with the transfers that we're doing at the same time, it's kind of just like we're kind of taking a tiny step back, or not big steps back, from trying to reach our goals as an institution. So it's confused. That it's the question we ask ourselves every single time, whether it's America Feminine fans or just people outside. It's like, what's going on with this team? They should just be honestly dominating every single team until it comes against the Clásicos and the Regia teams. That's pretty much it. But it's difficult.
Yeah, I mean, it's always hard to judge too what kind of goes on behind the scenes, right? Like we know what we see for 90 minutes, and then some of the other stuff that we kind of can piece together through social media and that sort of stuff. But it's always difficult to see kind of behind the scenes, who, maybe somebody's not showing up to training and doing well.
It's AJ. AJ never shows up to training.
My bad.
But I mean, it's those sorts of things. Maybe that behind the scenes that we don't get to see that are kind of creating divisions in the team, or are kind of subverting players from really kind of giving their best. I mean, again, I don't know, but I just want to kind of just throw it out there that that's a possibility, and it's very easy to for me, again, as an outsider, to look at the roster and go, yeah, why aren't they winning? Why aren't they, dominating everybody except for the Regia teams and then Atlas, right? Like, but behind the scenes, are players trying to play through kind of injuries that are not bad enough to keep them out, but bad enough to affect their performance? Are people just not getting along? Is it the uncertainty with living in 2021 during a pandemic? Like, there's a billion reasons why, and maybe one day we'll kind of get a few more than we have now. It's got to be frustrating. I can certainly sympathize looking back at some of the Pumas teams where I thought, man, this team's really good and this is going to go someplace, and then they kind of just crash and burn. So.
Oh, yeah, and you're right. Look, everything you've just speculated about, we've done it the same. And everything you could have ever thought about, we talked about it. We've said maybe it's an alien invasion. Who knows? Like we've had we've had our thoughts and we've gone into the deep in regards to that. But look, we're just hopeful that things change. But you are right though, Eugene. Coaches have they have a short shelf time, and I think we might be at the point where we see, look, we are no longer here a year from now. And so we'll have to wait and see. But the results stand. And who knows, maybe Puma is the last dagger. So we'll have to wait and see. But hopefully not. Hopefully not. Maybe the last dagger comes a little bit later down the road. Let's focus on getting 3 points.
I'll leave it with this. I think the league is a better league when America and Chivas and the Reggio teams are doing well. And when those big teams with the big followings aren't doing well, I think it's bad for the league. And just from a fan of the league, less a fan of Pumas, but a fan of the league, I hope you guys get things straightened out starting Friday.
Okay, thank you.
The weekend. I'm trying to do work now.
Starting Friday. After tomorrow, get it all figured out. Tomorrow, take the day off.
Take a day off. Don't even show up to the game.
Just don't show up to the game. Viene por el foul. Give him the 3 points. It's like, okay, let's see what we do from here.
Well, I mean, this institution isn't on a roll for losing games on the table, so we might as well not get started on that. But no, Eugene, it's been a pleasure having you, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on again. It's amazing to have your expertise and advice. So I'm glad that you were able to hop on, man.
Oh, no, thank you. It's always an honor to be invited, and I'm so happy to get to talk to both of you. I've missed it, yeah, thanks. I just I'm always honored to be on here, and I can't thank you enough.
No, thank you. AJ, again, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come on and talk all things American Feminine. We'll be back next week to recap. Hopefully the ladies did show up to the game, and we'll have something to talk about in regards to this game, and then we'll preview the upcoming match against Atlético San Luis. But again, thank you too much to everyone that's been watching, to listening. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Full Cult. Again, thank you. And everyone stay safe out there. Please remember to wear your masks, and we'll be back next week to talk things all American Feminine. Until next time, take care, and as always, Arriba la America. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, this was another production of the Eagle Eye Podcast, the #1 source for all things Club America in English. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Eagle Eye Podcast and get all the latest news and coverage. And subscribe to our podcast wherever it is you may listen.